Hello friends, today is June 8th, 2021. Just want to keep my little trading journal going on and have a quick recording of the Bitcoin video today since the price looks like had a quite significant move earlier today. So I will just jump into it. Previously, I was arguing that we were having a symmetric triangle. I think I did the video like about a few days ago during the weekend or last Friday. So at that time, we were having, as I was mentioning, we were having lower highs and higher lows, forming this symmetric triangle look-alike sort of like formation. And I was thinking maybe some way we're gonna break the triangle end of this week or something like that. So at that time, when the price dropped, it was making higher lows without breaking the previous lows. However, the situation seems like changed today. I guess we can argue that now we're having a descending triangle. So the top resistance line, it's still here, right? We're still having the resistance line over here. It's not changed. It's still formed by a bunch of lower highs with that happened in the past few weeks. Firstly, we dropped below 200 EMA and we put all the way back to retest, but we failed to break it. We make this low, we came up, but it was further from the 200 EMA, and then we failed again. We dropped, and then we were trying to retest 200 EMA. However, this time we became further and further. We couldn't even break the previous high. So the resistance is still here. However, instead of the previous support line we drew, which formed a symmetric triangle, that trend line, which acted as a support, as of yesterday and the day before yesterday, today is officially broken by this move, the fourth candle of the TD indicator. So we can argue that this drop broke this symmetric triangle, and it seems like there could be something bad happen. It could be at 30K and maybe below, because now forming lower highs and higher lows, it's just the pattern was broken because we formed a lower low, at least compared to on May 30th, which is a week and a half ago, and we actually made a lower low, lower than May 23rd, which was supposed to be the lowest low for this triangle. However, we made even a lower low than this low earlier today, I think somewhere around there. So we can argue this symmetric triangle is broken, and it could be something like this happen. We drop to here, we go up, retest, and we fail again, and maybe we stop here, and maybe we don't, and then we go down, right? Because dropping to here and stopped at around 30K, 31K earlier this morning, already retested this low, right? Already retested this huge 50% drop around middle of May. But how many times can this support last, right? How many times can 30K as a support last? We can see this candle was the exact candle I was talking about during the last video, right? We were having a candle something like this, and that's a pretty bullish sign in a very bearish case, or in a very bearish sort of like candle, because we were dropping for like what, around 17% within a day or two. However, during the day we opened high and we went really low. However, we were able to push back to close pretty high around the open and the high. So that's a pretty bullish sign over here. However, the next candle will keep going down. So I guess like we can argue that we broke this symmetric triangle and we're forming the lows, and maybe we retest this support line again and then we go lower. Or we can argue that this could be a fake dropout, and then we can go back to the triangle and retest the 200 EMA. However, for now, I'm seeing more, or at least I saw a few hours ago that we were having sort of like a descending sort of like triangle. At least when I was trying to publish this idea on TradingView about like an hour or two ago, right? We were just about the support line of this descending triangle. So you can sort of like argue this is the descending triangle here, because the previous symmetric triangle, this trend line is already not working because it's breaking down, right? So you can see, we can say this is a descending triangle, and the fifth candle was a fake breakout, and sixth candle, it could stay here a little bit, and it could be something like this. It goes back and retests and go back, or something like this, right? This could be a fake drop, something like that. Or this can also be an indicator that even we try to lower the support line, this descending triangle, the pattern is also broken, right? And maybe we go down to here and then we retest the support a few times, and then eventually we fail to break this support to go back to the triangle sort of like pattern, and then we keep going down, right? If this time we go down, I don't think 30K will stop us, because like I said, 30K acted as a support for 1, 2, 3 times already. So how long can this support area hold, right? How long can this support area hold without making higher highs? We keep making these lower highs. How many times can this support zone hold, right? Maybe the next time when it reaches to support 30K, people panic and then something bad is going to happen. So we can argue that the symmetric triangle pattern is broken, and now we can say it's a descending triangle, or we can say it's broken and making low, or descending triangle, still trying to figure out it is or not. Trend lines is just a general guideline. People can draw it no matter however they want, right? We can draw it support over here. I can say, oh, these two lows are significant. So as long as this descending triangle, which is so big, as long as it's not breaking, then we should be good, especially with this 30K as a very significant support. Or we can say it's right here and it's broken already, and something bad could happen because this pattern is broken. Or like I said, you can argue the symmetric triangle, something like that. But even though the trend line people can draw as they wish, we have to say that we start to make these lower lows, right? We start to make lower lows as of today, and we started to break the previous lows and previous supports. So this line was pretty significant, except May 23rd, but we closed above it, and we never went below. Even the lows was above this, but today or earlier yesterday, for some people's time zone, it dropped below this. So we made lower low, and that's really not a very good sign. As I mentioned previously, this Elliot Wave thing, the theory is still here, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 could be around 20K if we have a fib extension from wave 2 to wave 3 to wave 4. We see around 60.65, which will most likely be a very strong support as fib extension, especially when wave 3 went all the way 50% drop, right? And if we take the extension from wave 1 to wave 2, we see wave 3 is exactly at 1.618, which is a very huge sort of push, a very huge wave as a wave 3. Thus, I don't think wave 5 is going to be as strong as wave 3 and push all the way to like 1-to-1 extension. I think wave 4 to wave 5, wave 5 is compared to wave 3 is going to be a lot easier to be exhausted and a lot shorter than wave 3. Thus, compared to like 1-to-1 level, I think 0.65 will really be a stop point for the if we were really going to drop that much. And also, as I mentioned previously, 2017, the high is around 20K as well. Over here, I really see a very strong support, and we can see the previous resistance around end of last year before this huge bullish move, which is basically Bitcoin doubled and tripled later on, right? So this resistance here last year and the resistance or all-time high for 2017, I see this act as a very strong support, just like this 200 EMA. So at current situation, what could be both bear and sort of like bullish scenario? Well, in my opinion, as I published on TradingView like a few hours ago, I really think this sort of pattern could, play out. So I drew sort of like an extension for the 200 EMA. I think it's approximately estimate, something like that, right? And if we were having a bullish case, I really see we break out. We definitely try to stay within this triangle. We don't want to keep making lower lows, or we don't want to close, below this line or below this low. As I said, you could draw the trend line over here, use the low as a support, or you can draw the trend line over here. But as I mentioned, regardless how you draw the trend line, we see it's making lower lows compared to a week ago, and we're seeing it retest the previous low, and it's almost approaching the the 30K, which was the lowest point at the huge drop. So at this moment, we really don't want to want this price to keep making lower lows. We want to stay above this line or this line over here. And then we want to keep making, maybe we're going to make lower highs a few more times, right, within this triangle. But hopefully we will break this triangle over here and retest the 200 EMA. But generally speaking, if we could break, stay above this low or this low, and we keep making highs and eventually break this 200 this triangle and retest the 200 EMA. Eventually, if we could break out the 200 EMA, then I see a very bullish case coming up. And this sort of like five-wave formation is definitely not valid anymore, right? However, what could be the bearish scenario? Well, the bearish scenario could be like here I draw as a red line. And generally speaking, if we retest the triangle and we fail to break out, and then we break this support line or we break this support line, regardless how you draw the trend line over here, the idea is if we keep making lower lows and we break the previous lows or previous close price, that will be a very, very bad sort of like scenario happening, right? I'm thinking if we were able to make to the resistance again, then I'll see this 30K as a final support again for the 3rd or 4th time as this area which happened, which has been a very strong support area for the past, I guess, almost a month, 3 weeks to a month, right? If we are able to make to the resistance line again, I see 30K as a support again, because that's another 20% drop. So unless some really bad thing happen like COVID, I don't see us to drop like 20%, more than 20% right away, right? Just like to 50%, there's no way. So I'm seeing a pullback from 30K if we were able to touch the resistance of this resistance, and if we were in a bearish scenario, then this will as a support. Maybe we'll pull back a little bit, let the RSI to rest a little bit, and then we retest the support. If at this time we can't break the support, I really don't see this 30K can be, you know, any support anymore. I'm seeing we're breaking this because this 30K area has been a support for a very long time, and if we fail to break the support line for this resistance triangle, or you know, to have a bullish formation, I really don't see this can be as a support anymore, because that's a very bearish case. So, you know, we could also be testing. We could be also be testing from over here. We drop to 30K. Maybe we retest the support again and go down. So for bearish case, so just watch very closely between 30K to around 33K. We really don't want this. We really don't want Bitcoin to go below this or stay around here. We really want to. We really want, you know, Bitcoin overall can go up and break this descending triangle and retest the 200 EMA, as I mentioned over here, as a very bullish case. So that's both bull and bear scenario. As I said, currently some people are saying this could be, you know, a wake off, sort of like distribution, something like that. So they're saying, or their argument is that, you know, we're having sort of like a bullish run over here to here to here, and you see the top is distribution, right? Something like that. I can't exactly remember the name. I remember people calling it when it was the 30K the first time. They're saying it's going to go back up right away. And when we were at 40K, they were calling it. When we were at 30K, we're calling it. I'm not saying this doesn't sort of like distribution doesn't make sense. Yes, but the argument is basically that institutions are manipulating the market, and they're trying to, right? If I understand correctly, they're trying to shake out the weekends, and so they can buy it at discount, right? You know, but when it's low, right? 30K, people are calling it. 40K, people are calling it. If it goes to 20K, if it went like this, goes to 20K, I guess people will be calling, you know, the week off distribution over here. It's over now. You know, we can buy from here, and it really gonna go up. And I agree, right? I agree that at this point we're gonna have a reversal at 20K for sure. But what I disagree with is that a lot of people calling this sort of like a distribution pattern, something like that. They're telling people to buy it over here or buy it over here. You know, they were telling people to buy at the 30K or buy around, you know, the 200 EMA. This is what I do not agree, because, like I said, it dropped 50%, 1.618, like this huge wave below the 200 EMA, which was a support for more than a year, right? If we broke below the support line for the whole last year, we're not gonna have sort of like a V-shaped recovery or something like that to 60K. It's gonna be a lot tougher than what those people thought, right? So what kind of theory, whatever, you know, the kind of theory you're using, whether you're, you know, the institutions are, the whales are sort of like manipulate the market, they're trying to shake out weak hands, stuff like that, or you're using other technical analysis. So like I said, regardless the system you use, we have to argue that firstly, this was a 50% drop, right? Which is extremely significant. And then we broke the 200 EMA, which has been a support for a year. Also, after the drop, we failed to break out the 200 EMA, which was a support, and now as a very strong resistance. It was a support for the whole last year, and now as a resistance. And we also have to argue that we keep making lower highs. We keep making lower highs, and we're getting further and further from this 200-day EMA. Then after today, we also have to argue, you know, we keep making lower lows. We broke the previous close, and we're retesting the previous lows, which was not the case a few days ago when we really saw a symmetric triangle and making higher lows. So all this really indicates at least the current market sentiment is towards bearish, or a lot more people are not as bullish as all these people are saying on the internet, right? At least currently they're not as bullish, because if they were bullish at this point, especially today around 30K, it should be an immediate bounce, goes back to this triangle or resistance, and it really should start making higher highs to approach this 200 EMA resistance, and eventually it should break out this 200 EMA and go back to the support, which was acted a very strong sort of like zone for the past 1 year for COVID, right? If the overall market sentiment is really, really bullish, then after this huge drop, go up and down around here a little bit, we should go back above this support line, 200 EMA, like as soon as possible, right? So then we can argue, okay, so maybe this is a fake drop below the support zone. However, this is really not the case, right? As I said, this is really not the case because we keep making lower highs, and now we're making lower lows. Previously, we were making lower highs and higher lows, so that's more bullish. But now we're making lower lows, so that's really not very pretty, especially on the chart. So in conclusion, if this were really going to turn bullish, we have to break this resistance line. Or, regardless how you draw this resistance, we have to make higher highs, right? We can't keep making lower highs because we eventually have to break this and go, around the 200 EMA. And if bulls are really coming back, we got to break this resistance right away, right? And then maybe all-time high. If it's bearish, then we're gonna keep making lower lows and eventually break this 30K, because I really don't think it's gonna act as like 4 or 5 times support. It could be, but if it keeps dropping to 30K, I really see break below is really happening. Overall, I think the market sentiment is towards bearish because, like I said, it failed to make higher highs to break out the resistance, and it failed to pull back when we make lower lows, right? So the overall market sentiment, in my opinion, is leaning bearish. So if we want to go bullish again, I really, really want to see it break the resistance. And also, if there's some catalyst or news coming out, some celebrities or institutions, government are saying something good about Bitcoin, then maybe the institutional money will flow in again, and all us small people or the general retail investors will start pouring money in. But before that, without all the catalysts and news coming out, I see market sentiment towards bearish. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.